Someone recently asked me how I have so many resources as a free-to-play player. And honestly, I can understand why they asked. We've only been in KvK 2 for around 10 to 15 days, and on my main account, I currently have over 1 billion of each resource. So today, I'm going to answer that comment properly and show you exactly where these resources come from. First, let me give you some context. I'm completely free to play on this account. I'm not showing you some whale account that has spent thousands of dollars buying resource bundles. Everything you're seeing has been built over time through farming, events, and the accounts supporting my main. And that's important because when someone looks at my resource screen, they only see the final result. They don't see everything working behind the scenes. I currently have 14 farm accounts supporting my main account. And yes, I know 14 sounds like a ridiculous number, but I don't really look at them as 14 completely separate accounts anymore. I look at them as 14 additional accounts that I've built over time to generate resources and support one main account. And when you have that many accounts working together, the amount of resources that can accumulate becomes pretty crazy. I went through my farm accounts and looked at the resources I currently have sitting in resource items. On average, each of my farms has around 300 million mixed resources sitting in items. Now, obviously, every farm isn't exactly the same. Some have more and some have less. So, I'm using 300 million as a rough average. And this is where the numbers start getting interesting. So let's actually do the math. If one farm has roughly 300 million mixed resources and items, and I have 14 farms, that gives us 4.2 billion resources. 4.2 billion. That's a pretty crazy number when you actually stop and think about it. And remember, I'm talking about the combined resources across these farms. I'm not saying every farm has 300 million of every individual resource. It's a rough average of the mixed resources sitting in items. So when someone looks at my main account and asks how I have over 1 billion of each resource this early into KvK 2, a huge part of the answer is sitting right here. It isn't one account doing everything. It's 14 accounts contributing toward one main account. Now you might be thinking, okay, 4.2 billion resources sounds great, but what does that actually mean for my main account? And this is where having a large resource stockpile becomes really useful, especially during KvK. Resources are basically the fuel for your account. You need them for research, buildings, training troops, and of course healing troops. And during KvK, that last one can become extremely expensive very quickly. One bad fight can suddenly leave you with a huge number of troops in the hospital. And when that happens, having resources already sitting in items means I don't have to start farming from zero. I already have a reserve ready to use. But there's another side to having 14 farm accounts that you don't really see from the resource screen, and that's the amount of time and effort behind it. Having 14 farms isn't some magical F2P trick where you create the accounts and suddenly have billions of resources. You actually have to build them. You have to keep them progressing. You have to send out your marches to gather. You have to collect the resources. And you have to keep coming back to those accounts. That's probably the biggest cost of this entire strategy. You're not spending money on resource bundles, but you are spending your time. And for me, that's the trade-off. As an F2P player, I'm willing to put in that extra time because the resources I get back are extremely valuable for my main account. But I also don't want to make it sound like everyone needs 14 farms. Honestly, if you're a newer player, I wouldn't recommend looking at this video and immediately thinking, I need to make 14 farms. Start with 1 or 2. Get comfortable managing them. And then, if you actually enjoy that part of the game and want to build a bigger resource network, you can add more over time. Because at the end of the day, farms are only useful if you're actually willing to manage them. And for me, the timing of all this is actually pretty important. Because on the 14th of August, our KvK 2 fighting is going to begin. And looking at the current situation, we could potentially be fighting 1 kingdom against 2, or even 1 against 3. So suddenly, all those resources I've been collecting aren't just a nice number sitting on my account. They're going to be tested. Because if we really end up fighting 2 or 3 kingdoms, I'm expecting this war to drain resources very quickly. Every fight means wounded troops. Every time I heal, I'm spending resources. And if the fighting continues for days, that cost keeps adding up. So right now, my biggest hope is that the resources I already have, combined with what my farms can continue to produce, will be enough to keep me fighting until we reach King's Lander. But before we get there, there's still a few days left before the fighting actually begins. And that gives me a little bit of time to make sure everything is ready. My resources are obviously the first thing I want to have prepared. But there are a few other things I need to check as well. My hospital capacity, my troops, my speed-ups, my commanders, and my equipment are all things I want to have sorted before August 14th. At this point, I'm not trying to make any major changes to my account. I'm just making sure that what I already have is ready to be used when the war starts. Because once the fighting starts, I don't want to be sitting there thinking about what I should have prepared. I want to be fighting. But honestly, I still don't know how this KvK is going to play out. If it ends up being a normal 1 versus 1 fight, that's one situation. But if we end up fighting 2 kingdoms, or even 3, everything changes. The amount of fighting, the amount of healing, and how long we have to stay on the field could be completely different. And that's the part I can't really prepare for yet, because I don't know what the war is going to look like. I can prepare my account, I can prepare my resources, I can make sure my troops and speed-ups are ready. But once August 14th arrives, it's going to be up to the actual fighting. And that's honestly what I'm most curious about. I want to see how far this account can actually go when it gets pushed to its limits. And that actually brings me back to the comment that started this video. Someone asked how I have so many resources as an F2P player, especially this early into KvK 2. And hopefully, now you can see that there isn't one single trick behind it. It's something I've built over time, and it's something I'm now hoping will pay off when the fighting starts. But there's still one thing I can't answer yet. Will it actually be enough? Because on August 14th, we're going to find out. And that's when all this preparation finally gets put to the test. I'll be sharing the fights, the progress, and everything that happens throughout the KvK. So if you want to follow the journey, make sure you subscribe. You can also join the Discord through the link in the description, where I'll be sharing updates along the way and posting other Rise of Kingdoms content as well. After watching this video and before you go, let me know in the comments section, how many farm accounts do you have, or how many are you planning to have? Also, if you have any suggestions for me, whether it's about commanders, KvK fights, strategy, or anything else, definitely let me know in the comments. I'm learning this game along with you, so if you have something that can help me improve, I'm always happy to hear it. And with that, I'll see you on August 14th.